Details have not been announced yet. We've been planning it behind the scenes. So this is a hot scoop for you.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Maryn, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. Just because I couldn't help but notice, but I see an M and I believe a C tattooed on you. That tells me, there you go, MCM, that is the start of a numerals combination 1900 something something.
It is for sure.
What's the tattoo all about, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, absolutely. I got this one fairly recently. I think middle of last year. My sisters turned 18 years old, so we got family tattoos for them. We all kind of got different things. So I have a different tattoo dedicated to my sisters, and I figured it wouldn't be right if I didn't get one dedicated to my parents as well. So this is 1973, which is both of their birth year.
Awesome. Yes, definitely not your birth year. You're
no.
a tad younger than that.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Well, awesome. Well, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that and allowing me to ask you that question. So, but anyway, let's talk about the real news here for you guys. The Space Between is releasing the debut EP, and that's coming later the month as we were talking. Now, if I get my facts correct, there's only really one song that's not been released just yet of that EP. So most of the music is out there. Nevertheless, a band
Correct.
only gets to release a debut, anything, for the first time once. So how are you living up to that moment? We're a few weeks away as we speak. What experience is going on inside you right now?
Oh gosh, this has been a long time coming for sure. The band itself has been floating around as an entity for long before pre-COVID, actually. In 2019 is kind of when the first ideas of the band came up, and then unfortunately, because everything got shut down, things got delayed. But James, the guitar player, and myself, back in 2019, we were in a different project together, and we really wanted to go a different musical route. So we started experimenting with things, started writing. So some of the songs on the EP are from 2019, 2020, where some of them were written a little closer to the date now. So it's definitely a little nerve-wracking just because it's been a long time coming. We want everyone to like it. But we're super, super happy with the result, and we're excited to share it with everyone.
I can't count the times I put you first.
Usually a debut release, whether it's an EP or a full-length or what have you, tends to be a little bit of like the best off of the band so far, and songs have been written over a long time and what have you. This album definitely has the variation that you expect from a debut album. I'm sure that you're already working on newer material as well. I'll come back to the EP in just a second, but is the variation on that EP, does that represent where you're heading as a band, or like we see so often, with already working on new material and creativity, are you seeing that some of these elements are sticking a little bit more than other elements? Are you redefining your sound already a little bit?
I think you could say that. For some of the songs, like I said, they were written a while ago, so they did have some other co-writers on them. Whereas the new material is all just James, Tom, and myself. So in any sense, if you have different people writing on it, you're going to have a different sound. However, I think the EP is true to what a listener of our music is going to get, whether it's off that EP or whether it's the newer stuff that we're writing and recording. I think the only thing the listener might hear is that it just gets a little heavier. You can't keep Tom from beating those drums, and well, James, he he does his own thing on the guitar. So it all works out though.
Yeah. Well, and we know from all the content that you've shared that we all know what your favorite band is. So the heavy definitely also comes from that direction. You're a big Tool fan on the EP.
I am.
We definitely feel some, maybe some Tool reference in how songs are sometimes built up and some of the atmosphere. Maybe not as much just yet in the actual music or chord progressions, but is that seeping in there more and more?
I think so. I mean, like you said, it's one of my biggest influences, and it's one that I've been pretty clear about, both with the guys and with the public. Same for James as well. Tom is new. We're still educating him on Tool. He has his own influences. But they've been a favorite band of mine for a while. Thanks to my dad, who got me into them when I was younger. So, I mean, you can't really disclude your favorite bands from your influences. So if I have any part in writing the music, I think you're probably going to hear some influence.
What's deeper than can be fixed?
Let's talk about the band dynamic for a second, because you've already mentioned the other band members. There's 3 members in this band. I've not seen you guys play live. I have, however, seen photos of live performances, obviously. Your music takes more than 3 people playing at the same time, and when you play live, there's at least a bass player on stage as well. So
No.
Not anymore?
No, not anymore. We did have a bass player for our first show, John Ross. He's incredible. But he had a baby recently, so he wasn't able to stick with the band. So now our setup includes James recording all the bass tracks ahead of time and us playing to a track. James is notorious for writing more guitar parts in a song than he can play by himself. And I am not yet a skilled enough guitar player to assist with that. Who knows? Maybe in the future, maybe I'll pick up a guitar on stage.
Yeah.
I know one of our songs, Time, I think it has like 4 guitar parts at once going on in the bridge. And James, he's a wizard at what he does, but he does not have that many hands. So it does take a little bit of magic, but nonetheless, everything that we play on a track is recorded by a person. It's mostly James. So he puts in a lot of time and effort on those to make sure that everything goes smoothly for the show.
Time slips away.
The show coming now is the release show for the EP on June 24th in Ottawa. So obviously you're in full preparation for that, but what should we expect from the show?
What should we expect? Well, hopefully you're going to hear the EP. I would hope so. It's a little bit of a longer set than we've been playing, just because we're only doing 1 opener instead of we've generally been doing 2 with us. So, like I said, we wanted to showcase the EP a little more and also give the fans a little bit of a longer show to make sure they get their money's worth. So we've got the EP we're going to play, and we've got a few extra covers in the set, hopefully recognizable ones. And we've also got a bunch of new material that we're going to be playing. So most of it is recorded already, just not released yet. So if you come to a show, then you can expect you might hear something that'll pop up on Spotify in a few months.
I know I'm lucky.
Let's be honest, most bands, their entire career, don't get to work with teams that you're working with already. When you're quote unquote just getting started, sure, since 2019, but in the bigger picture, that's nothing just yet. I'm sure that you come across as a very grounded, very feet on the ground person. So I'm sure that you realize that is an unusual situation for a young band to
absolutely.
be in. Does that, because some other bands that never get to see that kind of professionalism around them in the teams, even in the PR teams that they work with, There's also way less expectations and therefore often less pressure for those bands. How is that with you guys? Because I think you realize that a lot of people are investing a lot of time and effort and also just, investment into the band. Do you feel that pressure of like, hey, we're just getting started and everybody's kind of keeping their eyes open on like, what is the band doing next?
I think there's always going to be an element of pressure, whether you're working with the amazing teams like we are or not. If you make music, you're putting yourself out there into the public, and you're pretty much putting yourself out there to be judged and to get comments from social media or for people so I think that's kind of inevitable. I do think that having that little bit of extra pressure on us is a good thing. For James, Tom, and myself, we are all workaholics. We're all equally dedicated to the band, and it's been quite nice to be able to split up the workload equally and to have everyone wanting to take an equal part in it. So I think us already having that drive and wanting to make this work with the combination of having external forces pushing us as well, I think it's probably for the best for us.
With working with these professional teams, is there a specific thing that for you stands out? Like, wow, definitely some knowledge that I gathered along, the way these last 2-3 years.
I think they've been working with us a lot on our social media, which is something that, while all of us have committed to doing, is definitely not anyone's favorite part of running a band. Like I said before, it's difficult to put yourself out there, especially we've been creating a lot of video content lately, and none of us are super great on camera in general. In terms of like staged videos that you're creating, you can put us on a stage and we can turn it on and we can be there and we can perform. There's just something different about having a camera look you in your face and running through things that you have to say in your head. There's definitely been a lot of crack ups, a lot of outtakes, especially on my end. I'm really quite bad for laughing when the video gets rolling, but I think that their work on us with the social media is definitely the thing I would take most away from it, especially just because none of us are super social media savvy. They've been giving us ideas that I'm like, oh, I never even thought of that. So it's really good, especially when you're weak in an area, to have someone's different perspective come help you out there a little bit.
We've talked about the release show, but if we think a little further ahead, you've mentioned also already that some things might be released on Spotify in a few months, but for everybody watching this, in the next few months or the rest of this year, what can we keep our eyes open for?
Oh, there's so many things. In terms of music, we don't have release dates yet. We are in the process of writing and recording for our debut full length, which we're hoping will be out by around this time next year. We've been writing quite a bit for it, and through the summer as well, after our release show, when we've got a little bit of downtime, we're just gonna hunker down and finish writing it and then get back into the studio this fall. But who knows, you might see some singles pop out during the fall, early next year. So we're quite excited about that. And then we've also got a few different show opportunities coming up. I know we're playing a local festival in July. We've got a gig in Toronto in September. We've got one in Kingston in November. I will say the big show that we're super excited about details have not been announced yet. We've been planning it behind the scenes. So this is a hot scoop for you. We're planning a festival-style show for Halloween as a fundraiser. So it's going to be a 3-day event with 3 different bills of bands each night. And it's going to be, the whole event is going to be a fundraiser for a local charity called Orchidra, whose whole purpose is basically to bring music to children that might have not had access to it otherwise. And we thought there was no better charity to support because, you know, we're all from Ottawa. We all love music, and we want to make sure that everyone that wants to has access to it. So, not announced yet, but it's heavily in the works, and hopefully the announcement will be coming shortly after our EP release show.
If you could just see what's inside my head.
Maryn, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, even or especially when you tell me that talking to a camera is really not your thing. So I appreciate you taking the time.
You've made it comfortable, don't worry.
Awesome. Well, that's amazing to hear. Well, I hope you guys are going to have a fantastic release show in a couple of weeks in Ottawa, and that you guys have a super awesome EP release. And please don't forget to take a step back and take it in and enjoy it, because it'll fly by and you will only be able to do this once. So
yeah, absolutely.
Enjoy it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Maryn, so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you on a stage later in the year.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Jasper.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.